Hello everybody, welcome to celloprofessor.com. This is my YouTube channel. My name is Jamie Feist. I teach at Central Michigan University. Please like and subscribe, it really helps. This is a redo of an earlier video I made like in 2008 when I had like more hair. Alright, so we're talking finger spacing today and a little bit about finger patterns. What's the challenge? What's the problem? This. Alright, every cello teacher knows what I'm talking about, the infamous this. Right? When students, particularly in first position, put their fingers down, you end up with finger spacing just like this. You end up with a 1 and 2 that are really far, and a 3 and a 4 that are really far, and a 2 and a 3 that are too close. Not only that, by extension, 1 and 3 are too close, right? Because 3 is coming back this way, and 2 and 4 are too close. We all know what this sounds like. The infamous low 3, right? The too low, and a 2 that's too high. I couldn't find my 4 doing that, right? So this here, I call these Ford F-150 whole half steps. They're way too big, and this is a Ford F-150 half step too. This is a Prius half step right there, right? The double Ford F-150s half steps. You could fit a semi through these things, let alone a Ford F-150. They're so wide with a lot of students, right? And 2 and 3 are way too close. So the question is, right, how do we fix it? How do we fix it? Ever since I made the first video on this all the way back in 2008, I've been teaching it in conjunction with finger patterns. All right, what are the finger patterns? So that's 1, 3, 4. That's our major scale pattern, right? 1, 3, and 4. Most of the books seem to start with the major pattern. So we'll call that pattern 1. How about that? We're going to call this pattern 2 the 1, 2, 4. Yeah, that's the whole that's the Tarantella by Squire. Alright, so that's 1, 2, and 4. Almost all of that until the very end. Right, so we'll call that pattern 2. It's usually, or some people call it minor or Dorian, something like that. And then you also have pattern 3, which is a stretch between 1 and 2, like for a major scale. Or this one, the thing I just played with the Tarantella, that uses pattern 3 here and here. Okay, so I think of the finger patterns as those being the main ones. All right. I tend not to call them a particular mode. Like if you call that minor or Dorian, that works in some contexts, but it doesn't sound minor or Dorian when I use that finger pattern on a major scale. So to avoid confusion, I just call them 1, 2, and 3. And then 4 is any chromatic fingering, right? So if I have 1, 2, 3, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So when you're just in chromatics and like if you're doing a like a chromatic scale, something like that. Okay, so we'll just leave it to that. You could also have a 5 like with the harmonic minor scale, but that doesn't really apply to this talk. So we'll just leave that at that. Good. So that's what I consider the main finger patterns. And, you know, they can move around. Like you could have, you know, the pattern number 2 start in half position. I just still call it 2 because you can move it around. You know, you can move it around. So that's how I do it anyway. That's how I number them. That's how I refer to those. Okay, so how do we teach? So what does that have to do with finger spacing after all, right? Well, here's what it has to do with finger spacing. I'd like to show the finger spacing corrections in conjunction with the finger patterns. So pattern 1, I have students practice this. Make 1 and 3 far and 3 and 4 close. So I'll say 1 and 3, a stretch there must be. 3 and 4 right next door. Yes, cellists, I know that's not officially an extension. It's not officially a stretch, but you may feel a little extra bit of spacing that you need there. And besides, it rhymes, right? 1 and 3, a stretch there must be. I guess you could say 1 and 3, more space there must be, if you prefer. Okay, whatever you want to do. So I'll just have students do this. Yes, it's an exaggeration. 3 and 4 aren't necessarily going to be touching, you know. And I'm thinking more first position right now, okay? So these will adjust as it goes up. But 3 and 4, right next door. 1 and 3, a stretch there must be. That's pattern 1. Pattern 2, I haven't practiced this. So you can see, like with this, what we did by putting the third finger higher is we're getting it away from the second finger. We are eliminating the forward F150 half step right there, right? And then that's going to increase the distance here. Okay. Then pattern 2. Right, you got to have the sound effects, right? So this is 1 and 2 are besties, 2 and 4, right? Stretch a little more. Again, yes, it's not official stretch. Close enough. 1 and 2 close, 2 and 4 far. In fact, you can quiz your students that way. You can say like 1 and 3, further or closer? Further, they'll say. Okay, 3 and 4, further or closer? Closer. Okay, 1 and 2, closer or further? Closer, they'll say. 2 and 4, further or closer? Further, of course, right? And then there's also this pattern, pattern 4, which is the Spock, right? Fascinating, you're saying. I know. 2 to 3 is going to feel a little bigger than 1 to 2. Those, I think treating or fixing the problem in conjunction with the finger patterns, I think is the way to go. Fixes this thing. All right, so that's how I like to do it. You can begin these finger spacing exercises by, you know, sort of breaking them up. So you could do some call and response, like with younger students. You can go open, you can go like D, E, F, and then have the students repeat it. D, E, F. So they get used to the 2 being kind of close, right? And then you can go open 1. Make sure 3's high enough. I'm almost exaggerating a little bit. I'd rather have them exaggerated nice and high than not. Kind of depends. That might be a little more accurate, depending on the context of the harmony and melody and so on. That'll vary the distance between 1 and 3. Good. And then, you know, then you can work into the whole finger patterns. So this is actually pattern 2. 1 and 2, close, besties. 2 and 4, stretch a little more. Then 1 to 3. 1 and 3 stretch. There must be 3 and 4 right next door. 3 doesn't have to always be that high. Other contexts that would be a little better, right? And then you can also practice the pattern 3, 2 whole steps in the hand. Right, so a little stretch there. You can throw that one in. 2 and 4 are still going to need to be a little further. 2 and 4 stretch a little more with the pattern 3. So I like to do those sorts of exercises with them. All right, and I wanted to say one little word about the angle of the hand with these finger patterns. So let me scooch up here just for a second near the camera here. All right, so if you watch any of my other videos on hand position, the left hand, you'll notice that I really like to approach the cello with a bit of an angle when I'm on 1 and 2, and then I like to rotate to 4, sometimes called hand rotation. Right, but one thing I really like about this approach, all right, is how much it helps with finger spacing between 2 and 3 particularly. Right, so I'm going to exaggerate here. I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to really angle my hand back. I can really adjust my third finger spacing from my second finger with an angle so much easier than when I'm square. Oh, that's hard. I mean, that's hard, folks. I mean, if you want to do it that way, best wishes to you. And I know there are cellists that do it, but I'm just not good at that. You know, so, and I think it's just less effort to do it that way. Just give it a little bit of a reach like that. All right, and also open 1, 3. I think it helps a little bit also from an angle for the same sort of reason. All right, just a little plug for hand rotation there and the possible advantages with finger spacing. My chair's caught here, of course, right in the middle of the video. Give me a second. Okay, it's caught on the rug. A little blooper. I'm not going to edit it out. All right, so there you go. What else? I think I covered most of it there. I think I really got it. On my article that goes with this, I do talk a little bit about the disadvantage of starting with all 4 fingers down. I know that's like very common. I think it works great for violin. I'm still not convinced for cello. I'm sorry, I'm just not convinced. I mean, there are methods that start on 4, so meaning this. So you would start on 4 and move down instead of starting from 1 and moving up. Everything I've done today, excuse me, I've started from 1 and moved up to 4. So, but there are advantages to starting on 4 and moving down to 1. The only thing is, in my experience, when students put all the 4 fingers down, it goes to this. It's almost impossible for them to put their fingers down, all 4 fingers down with correct spacing. They're going to default to this. It's much easier in the beginning to measure the spacing when you're climbing up from 1 going to 4. Am I saying it's wrong to start on 4? No, I'm not. I'm still just not convinced with cello. Sorry. That's just my opinion, folks. String players out there. Okay, I hope that made some sense. I kind of blasted through that last point a little bit, but there's more on the article on the website, and this video is already 11 minutes. So, thank you. If you could like and subscribe, that would be awesome. Come visit my website. You know, you can see the full article there as well. I have some downloads and things you can look at if you find them at all interesting. Okay, take care. I'll talk to you later, or I'll see you later. Whatever. Bye now.